Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to be taking a look at the new patch 1.4, or rather the changes that are introduced to the test server that is currently live. Down in the description you will see a link where you can read the description of the patch notes, and you can also try the test server for yourself. There were a couple major changes, but we'll start with the simple stuff, and by that I mean rebalancing. Wargaming decided to change the missions for the Chimera and also changed the tanks that you get from these secondary campaigns from the Chimera mission and the Object 279. Both of those were buffed. You can see on the Vote of Thanks page that the Chimera missions have been made easier, sort of. For example, in this mission you used to have to destroy one enemy vehicle during the first 1.5 minutes of the battle, and now you need to destroy two enemy vehicles in the first 4 minutes of the battle and also do 2000 damage. I feel like this is a bit more skillful. This is basically just done by like driving a KV2 and hoping to kill something very quickly. Or I'm not even sure if Union can do it, but basically driving a derp. And this is more skillful, I would say. So yeah, the full list of the missions that were changed you can see on the Vote of Thanks page, the update 1.4 common test. And there were also some changes to the campaign vehicles. Chimera has been made more accurate by decreasing the dispersion during movement and hull traverse by 17%, and also the dispersion of the gun by 0.02 meters. Aiming time has been improved very slightly, the view range has been improved by 20 meters, and the velocity of both of its shells was improved by around a quarter. And also the primary ammunition, the not gold one, has been improved by 16mm to 218, which is nice. Good buffs. Chimera is a good tank, good buffs, nice. The 279 was also buffed. The dispersion was changed similar as on the Chimera by 0.02 meters, and the dispersion on turret reverse was changed by 25%. Aiming time was also slightly improved, and you get improved hull armor. What the fuck does that mean? So I just took a look at the 279 on TanksGG, because TanksGG does have information for the public test and the 1.3 version, and the only thing I can see being the difference, this is the 1.4 public test and this is the 1.3 live server. The only actual difference I see is the shade of the green on the lower plate. On 1.4 public test, this is 55mm, the belly of the 279, while on the 1.3 this is 20mm. This is quite big, I think, because you could hit this theoretically if you're slightly below the tank and just overmatch with basically anything over 60mm in gun caliber, but this means that this is no longer a weak spot. Everything is gonna bounce it. But other than that, if you just look at the tank head on, I don't think there was really anything changed here. It seems to be exactly the same. So I think that changing or improving the whole armor, it was really just Wargaming improving the belly of the tank, which was sort of an unintended weak spot, I guess. Okay, let's move on. Now we are getting to the cool stuff, but first, one last boring thing. Wargaming introduced new inscriptions. You can put numbers on your tank, yay! You can select font. One of the 4 ones that are present here, at least on the French Scouts. Okay, my game just crashed. Okay, so that was that. I'm back. Careful with that, guys. It seems that this inscription crashed my game, so let's not use that one. So you have this inscription. Nice, you put a number in, you enter. It's all good. You can apply it to everywhere. Unfortunately, some of the numbers have been blocked from the game. I do get the point of some of them. I guess it's to not be banned in Germany or something, but whatever. Shit happens. So yeah, cool. Numbers! But now the actual cool stuff. Wargaming introduced wheeled vehicles in patch 1.4, or is going to if these changes go live. Of course, everything I'm telling you about today and everything I told you about since the start of this video might not even go to the live server. These are just test statistics, test stuff. Maybe Wargaming will scrap the wheeled vehicles altogether. It's very possible, but I will talk as if this was the real thing. This new line starts at tier 5 from the ELC BIS. Through the engine you can free XP, or you can grind out the AMD 178B. This vehicle is not very interesting. It's quite slow actually compared to the tier 10. Everything is slow obviously, but it's not very impressive. It doesn't have anything pretty much. It does have wheels, only 4 of them, and it's not a very good scout because it's not very fast, and it's very bad in terms of maneuverability. It has an okay gun, I guess, but it doesn't have any of the features that the scout, or sorry, the wheeled tanks have. It can't do the nitro, and it can't switch into rapid mode. It just has wheels, so you can't detract, I guess. But everything that shoots at you is likely going to destroy at least 2 of your wheels, which is gonna effectively kill you. The next tank is the tier 7, not too interesting, but the tier 7 EBR Hodgkins, I assume, does have a bit better gun, and it also is able to use the nitro, so it can just rev the engine up and start going at 70 kilometers an hour, which is cool. But it doesn't have rapid mode. The tier 8 has the rapid mode. It also has the same reverse speed as the top speed forward. The tier 9 is the same, and then you see the tier 10. The tier 10 does have lower speed when going back and better speed going forward, both for the rapid mode and for the cruise mode, but both of those speeds are really fast, so it doesn't really matter. So are these tanks game breaking? The true answer is I don't know. They play really interestingly, they are fun to play, and it's clear that the game doesn't really work with them. I have a feeling that Wargaming had to change the way physics work with these vehicles. It certainly feels like they have more gravitational pull, these vehicles, when they are alive. Because sometimes you can see this vehicle driving in a straight line, not doing much, just driving its top speed, you know, sticking to ground, everything's fine. And then it gets hit, it dies, and suddenly the tank just explodes and flies off into the sunset. So this feels like the vehicles have different physics, and they should just die like all the time pretty much, because they used to die, well, the tier 8 premium, when people tested it, used to die on every single rock. And now this thing is pretty much invincible. You can do insane jumps with it and only take off a little bit of your hit points, of course if you hit the wheels well. And sometimes you just explode completely because you hit a tree on the way and it just turns you slightly to the side and you die for full HP. That's what happens basically. So I will be talking about these tanks from tier 8 onwards, because the tier 6 and tier 7 aren't really true wheeled tanks. As they don't have all the mechanics, I feel like they will be quite shit. The tier 6 does have an interesting gun, so that might be fun for a bit, and then you will get to the tier 8 and you will actually start playing the proper scout tanks. I feel like this will change the meta a lot. I don't know if these tanks will be OP, like at all, but I think they will be certainly incredibly annoying to play against in anything that doesn't turn 60 degrees a second. I circled some insane stuff, like I circled a 140 for a while before his friendlies could catch up to me, because these tanks are absolutely insane. The acceleration is insane, sure, the braking speed and stuff like that, the maneuverability itself is really bad, but if you're just running circles around something, you can do that 100 kilometers an hour with a tier 10, and you don't have an issue. Even if they catch up with you with their gun, they're still gonna have insane issues hitting you, because auto aim doesn't work at these distances, like at all. It doesn't. It just trails behind the tank, like a kilometer behind it. So that really causes quite a lot of issues in the game, where I think that in a lot of the times very cool situations come from the fact that you're alone against like 4 tanks, and then you pick a good defensible position and pick them up one by one. This is not going to happen ever, because these tanks go 100. They will eat your shell, or they will just, you will miss them and they'll just circle you and you'll die. There's nothing you will do. And the tier 10 especially has quite a good gun in terms of sniping, because all these vehicles have absolutely insane dispersion and insane gun handling, like 5 times as good as Russian mediums. So that they can potentially, probably, fight while they are moving, because they are not like designed to be stopping at all. But the thing is, like, you can just stop somewhere at the start of the game and snipe, especially with the tier 10. Sure, it doesn't have a lot of penetration. It has APCR and heat and around 240 penetration on the heat shell, and I believe 210 or something like that on a stock APCR shell. But with the speed of this vehicle, you can just get to a position, you stop there, you aim at something for like nothing, half a second, and you hit it. If you get spotted, you just fuck off 100 kilometers an hour, nothing's gonna hit you. If you don't get spotted, you keep shooting. Sure, the DPM is very low, but you are not really doing, you will not be in very many risky situations, I feel. This tank is going to be not really easy to play, but it's going to be easy to play it. You know, you are going to be able to run away from pretty much anything. I feel that in most games you will be the last tank alive, pretty much all the time, if you will, like, at least a little bit, try a little bit to survive in your games. Because this will just run away, and there's nothing to do. And you can just kill artists, you can do anything. With 100 kilometers an hour, you can run circles around the map in like 40 seconds. So you can do anything, and there's nothing the heavier enemies can do to you. So I feel like this will be incredibly annoying. Also, one very interesting stuff about these tanks is that they have very good HE shell penetration. For example, the tier 10 has 105 millimeters of HE penetration with 500 alpha. This suddenly makes it quite good at killing artists and stuff like that, because it just needs one shot with a good RNG, but you don't really need RNG anyway, you just hit stuff and you kill it. And it's also so well aimed, you can just get into the ass of vehicles and you can just shoot them without any issues. You know, like E-Force, E3, stuff like that, which has weak side armor and weak rear armor. You will just spend it all day and you're gonna annoy the fuck out of them. The tier 9 and 8 have the same thing, they have 80 millimeters of penetration, I believe. And even the tier 6 has like 75, so that's a lot for a tier 6. Quite interesting. So in short, I believe that the tier 10 is going to be overpowered in a real life scenario when there's not 10 of these light tanks on each side. And I guess we're just going to have to wait, because Wargaming, I think, really wants to release this, and there's nothing really statistically wrong with them, I think. It's just going to make cause mayhem in the game, I believe. Especially when there's going to be multiple of them, and I think it might break some of the end game situations. And fuck a lot of the, you know, critical thinking elements and stuff that you sometimes like have to do late game, because you're just gonna camp because you're gonna be afraid of this thing catching you out in the open, which I feel might not really be a good idea. I think Wargaming should go through a little bit more testing, not testing like on the test server where there's literally 25 of these tanks on in the game. You can't test shit, everyone's just firing HE and driving in the middle of the map and the rest of the tanks can hit them. Just give these tanks as rentals to like normal people in the game, to some normal people, not they don't even need to be contributors, just select someone who wants to and let them test it. That's how I would do it, basically. I would not be releasing this in this state because there's nothing, we don't really know how these things will perform. So I'm quite critical about the wheeled vehicles, even though they are a lot of fun to play. That's all for the French vehicles, I believe. There's also another like critical thing that was changed in this patch, and that is that Ghost Town is back. Yay! It will be available in random battles. The map got changed quite significantly. It's been made into 1 × 1 kilometer wide map, and it's very flat. It's flat fucking everywhere, so it's going to be RT central. The city doesn't have many hold down positions. Basically it got leveled down a lot, and I'm not sure if it's going to be very fun to play. You can try it out for yourself once 1.4 comes out, I guess. I think this has been all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, comment, or even subscribe. Thank you, and see you next time.